All right, I want to welcome you to another Rise of the 1% episode where you're going to discover the tools and strategies and insights that dominate and get into the top 1% of your industry. I am G Bass. And today, on today's episode, I'm definitely excited about this episode. I got a special guest here with me today. I got Miss Tori Allen. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely glad to have Tori on. So just to give a brief introduction of Tori, Tori pretty much is the founder of Brainchild Associates.
Yes.
And been in business around about 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
Okay. And
don't age me now.
Yeah, we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that one. And pretty much you specialize in helping people in terms of like online course creation, but also conferences, events, and then you also operate as like a marketing servicing firm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you've also as well launched around about 100 products. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
More than, yes.
More than that.
Yeah.
That's big. That's big. So with that said, let's give it up today for Miss Tori Allen. Okay. Once again, glad to have you on.
I'm glad to be here with the Rise of the 1% community. Thanks for having me. So,
Absolutely. Definitely. So let's start off here, Tori, from the beginning. Let's talk a little bit about your journey. So first off, you're from New York.
From New York. Yes.
Okay.
I say I'm the best of both worlds. I'm a little bit of Georgia peach and a little bit of Big Apple. So I'm the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Both fruits. Absolutely. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about that. How was it, for one? Let's start off there. Like coming up in New York. Talk a little bit about your upbringing in New York.
So upbringing in New York. Okay. So one, I'm an only child.
Okay.
And so I actually grew up in a household with an entrepreneurial mother. So I think that definitely influenced my entrepreneurial pursuits as I became older. I got to see her just do her thing, and I was always in awe of she had an insurance business, so she actually had a franchise, an all-state insurance franchise. Okay. So she sold insurance, and of course, I had my time working in her office and kind of experiencing all the nuances of running a business. Seeing her manage her staff, deal with her clients. Just deal with all the dynamics that are involved. So it was kind of in the blood. Gotcha. I kind of grew up in that type of arena, and then. I guess it kind of influenced my leadership abilities. I feel like I've always kind of, initiated and started a lot of things. Even as a kid, I had my own Tori's fashions where I actually started out making paper dolls and selling them. And then from there, people would donate doll clothes and dolls and then doll accessories. Oh, wow. So then I started selling. I had a whole doll business and I was, I don't know, in the 5th grade or so. Oh, wow. And then I don't know, things just kind of evolved from there. Yeah. But once I graduated high school, I came to Atlanta in '96. Okay. It was a last hoorah of Freaknik. I was able to get a little taste of the scene before it went out became obsolete. But it was the last hoorah. It was on the heels of the Olympics when it came here. Yep. So at that time, there were a lot of different expansions and new developments. I went to Spellman. Okay. And so, while at Spellman, I had an opportunity. So really, I actually kind of going back into high school, I actually started writing and producing plays. Okay. So when I went to college, my pursuit was really to get into screenwriting, to get into film. Okay. But at that time, it was pre-Tyler Perry days. Okay. So Atlanta didn't really have an entertainment industry that you can really, thrive and build a sustainable career in. Yeah. So I was then to kind of take my more creative pursuits in the marketing space. And so then I started interning at different marketing agencies, and one of which that I interned primarily while I was in college was Images USA, headed up by Robert McNeil Jr. It was one of the one and few, I don't think it's the first, but just one of the few Black-owned advertising agencies that was based here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And so then I had an opportunity to work on some major corporate accounts from McDonald's to the U.S. Army, work with the National Minority Supplier Development Council, just to name a few, and primarily working on the PR team there at the time. So we were implementing a lot of PR activations for a lot of these corporate campaigns that we were working on, primarily geared to the minority communities.
Okay.
And then from there, I went on to work at Porter Novelli, which is a big international PR firm. And I was able to kind of up-level my skill sets through there.
Yeah.
And then at the ripe old age of 28, I decided I wanted to work for myself. And so I started doing a lot of freelance projects while I was still working in the corporate world. And one of the contracts I had was with the National Urban League Conference. And they hired me to run their entire PR machine for their national conference. And this was back in 2008. And if you recall, back in 2008, that was during the Barack Obama's first presidential election. So myself and my team, we were holding down all of the PR around all the presidential candidates that were at the Urban League to appeal to that constituency and, garner their votes and support. And so, that was interesting. That was interesting working because it was Hillary Clinton, it was Barack Obama, it was, all of these, it was a presidential election. So, the press appeal was tremendous. So just kind of managing through that, learned a lot along the way, made amazing connections that then took my freelance business into full time. And so, I had a partner at the time, and we were trying to figure out a way to come up, some kind of name that would kind of stand out and to kind of set us apart. And in the midnight hour, the name Brainchild kind of came to my mind as far as helping to make other people's brainchilds thrive through the brain genius that we have and are able to bring to the table through our marketing, experiences. And so that's when Brainchild was born. It was born on the heels of working the National Urban League Conference, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow. I just discovered a lot about you, Tori. Wow. Yeah, so first of all, you come from, just taking it back even to the beginning, so you come from, like you say, your mom was pretty much an entrepreneur in terms of insurance. Yeah, so that pretty much has been a driving force in terms of your entrepreneur, your spirit, and the successes you went on to create in terms of entrepreneurship and your mindset, I'm pretty sure, work ethic, things of that nature. And then from there, a lot of people out here, and I know even myself in high school, I sold candy, or you hear people, lemonade stands, things of that nature. You actually had your own doll. That's totally different. That's totally outside the box, thinking like that at a very young age. And then pretty much you say you eventually went on and came to Atlanta. Okay, around you spoke about Freaknik. I was I was pretty young doing Freaknik. I was young, but I remember.
Your time,
I was young. I remember the traffic and stuff.
The traffic was real. I never saw anything like it in my life. It was like, what in the world? It was next level.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, it was wild back then. And that was around the time of the Olympics as well.
Yeah.
And then you went to Spellman. So you say for film and you say screenwriting at the time.
That was the thought process to do that. But I just wanted to go to Spellman. I didn't know that Spellman really didn't have a major in that particular area. It was like, you should have went to Clark. That's where you would go. You go for that type of experience. So I didn't learn that until after I came to Spellman.
Yeah.
So yes, I ended up just settling as an English major, business management minor. And like I said, this was pre-Tyler Perry days, so there really didn't seem to be anything viable that I could launch my career from in that space. I knew I didn't want to go back to New York because, I wasn't about that, the cost of living there. I like how far the money went in Atlanta at that time. It's a different day today, but at that time, it was feasible for me to, kind of live my best life young. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll go into marketing. I can still kind of flex my creative muscles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And provide a lot of value. And I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, you think about it today, while I did not pursue a career in film at the time when I was in college, it kind of is full circle. Because now everything is about content development.
Absolutely, definitely.
So I'm writing scripts. I'm collaborating on video shoots and promo shoots and helping people film their online course. So it's still kind of all it's still full circle. It still ended up coming back, just in a little bit of a different way. But still the same. So nonetheless, but yeah. So that's kind of how it all began here.
Yeah. You went a different route, a route that I was told from some of my elders I should have potentially took, but I didn't go that route. But you worked with the actual marketing agency, and you say it was Black owned.
Black owned.
Wow, that's huge.
Out the gate.
On some big accounts too, like
big accounts.
McDonald's and
So I was able to learn how to manage multiple accounts at the same time because my whole foundation is agency. So I've never worked, in-house, just managing one account or one brand or one project. So I was always kind of built, to kind of juggle multiple accounts. And then, it became very easy when I made the decision to kind of go on my own, just based off all the training I had back when I was in college.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that definitely helped getting that experience, actually working with a firm, within the realm and the specialization, the skill set that you have before kind of I believe that definitely helped. I didn't go that route working with a company, even though I did go to college for business and marketing.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely believe that definitely can help. And so, from there, you did some huge things in terms of PR, working with, like you say, you mentioned, of course, during the presidential election in 2008, things of that nature. Yeah, so you did some big things. You said the National Urban League, right?
National Urban League.
Yeah. Okay.
That was like my first big contract that led me to then branch out full time.
Branching out full time. Gotcha. How was that for you? When you decided to actually go full time, like, was you a little nervous about that, or you just like, hey, I already got the experience, I got the skill sets, I got the hustle, I got the network, I'm really be able to make this work, or what was that like for you?
It was a fairly smooth transition because, like I said, I was freelancing before I took that step. So I already had some contracts under my belt at that time. Yeah. Like I said, upon working with the National Urban League, was able to really make a lot of great connections that then brought forth a lot of other great, opportunities. A lot of the work that I was doing when I first started was a lot of event marketing or PR for conferences. So, we worked with from the National Urban League to the National Black MBA Conference to the National Conference of Black Mayors. So we were just running the conference circuit.
Okay, gotcha.
And it was really good money at the time.
Yeah.
And so, I had a small staff, like I wasn't even 30 yet, when it all kind of came to be. So it wasn't really scary. It didn't get scary until I had a bit of a just different meeting of the eyes with my partner. And we decided, the growth that we encountered was really rapid and it was very consuming, and at this point, we're getting into our early 30s and it was a lot. And, it was a bit much for her. She was kind of more corporate trained. I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. So it was great for me.
Right.
But for her, it was a bit overwhelming. And she was great at what she did in her craft as a PR marketing specialist.
Gotcha.
But when you're running a business,
yeah.
you know, there's more to it than just your craft.
I tell some of my team members that all the time with the Rise of 1%.
The craft is just a small piece of it. Now you're developing skills in all these other areas to run a business.
Exactly.
And it was a little bit more than what she signed up for. Mm-hmm. And so she decided she wanted to go back into corporate and did not want to continue on this entrepreneurial path. It was just a bit, you know, overwhelming, too much. She wanted more work-life balance. And so she decided she wanted to go back into corporate. Of course, she didn't tell me this until after she accepted a job in corporate. That started like 2 days later.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And so I was left with all these contracts. And now it's just me. That's when it became, that's when it got a little scary.
Right.
You know, when it was such an extreme, unexpected pivot.
Yeah.
And then at that time, I had to figure out, you know, how I was going to be able to manage everything, you know, without having that, you know, that other person, you know, on my level to kind of mastermind with and organize things with and manage with. You know, I'm kind of left, you know, holding the bag, you know, and so that was a little that grew me up really quick, and so but we had to move fast and figure it out and make it work, and
absolutely,
and we are still standing here 17 years later, so we worked it out.
Absolutely, kudos to you, definitely, definitely, yeah. Okay, all right. Well, let's transition the conversation here, Tori. So let's talk a little bit about how you got into like the online education space.
Yeah. So I would say maybe about 12 years ago, when online education started to kind of come about, it really intrigued me as a tool to really empower your audience with your knowledge.
Okay.
And so, and not only that, but it intrigued me from the standpoint of beginning to reach your audience globally. You know, you were no longer just limited to your local area or specific markets, but now you can reach the multitude of people from all over the globe all at one time, you know? And so, as you mentioned, you know, I've been helping my clients launch a lot of their new products and services. So I found online education to be a great catalyst to kind of kick off and launch some of their products and services. So I was working with them as far as helping them to, and it's also a great way to kind of stand out from your competition, especially then, you know, because no one was really doing online courses to the degree that they're doing them now. And so my clients were really able to kind of resonate as authorities in their industry as results of providing this online educational content. And then of course, as we're creating the content, we're introducing their new product offerings or service offerings. So again, it was a catalyst to, that was the initial intent. Because of that though, because of the way in which we used it versus how so many people use it today, where they use an online course almost like a one-off, you know, but they're not necessarily leveraging it as a catalyst to then springboard other offerings. You know, so and so they kind of just let it rest on the course or let it rest on the ebook, and it's like, this is an ecosystem. This is a whole sales strategy.
Absolutely.
And so that is the approach, and that was always my approach from the beginning. It was never just the course. The course was just a catalyst. It was just a vessel to then introduce people to other things. So this was something I was doing for my clients for more than 12 years. And but then 2020 happened, and online courses and online education no longer became so nuanced. It became like a necessity because that was the only way in which people were able to get access. You know, people couldn't go to workshops or go to conferences. So now all of this information was coming online. And also at that time, a lot of my clients worked in the beauty industry, many of which were service professionals, many of which businesses were closed down due to the pandemic. And so I was left trying to figure out a way to compartmentalize the services that I provided in a way that made sense with the times that we were in. And so when I saw this major shift into online education, I was like, well, shoot, I've been doing this for more than 12 years. Perhaps this is something, you know, I should do as a standalone offering, since people seem more aware of it and more knowledgeable of it. Before, it was a bit of a hard sell. Like I was a little bit before my time when I was helping clients with this 12. I had to really kind of get them, I had to arm wrestle them for them to see the vision, the potential.
Yeah.
And so, but now once everything came online, then this wasn't such a phenomenon. And so at that point, I decided to actually segment that particular offering that I provided into a dedicated division under the Brainchild helm, known today as Mastery Monetized. And so now we're able to help our clients productize their knowledge as a revenue stream in and of itself, but they'll also leverage it as a catalyst to introduce their audiences to all the other many offerings that they have above and beyond the educational asset itself. So now they're able to make multiple revenue streams on autopilot through an automated sales system or funnel on the heels of the educational products that they're providing. And haven't looked back since, so, that's my whole platform now. It's online education, because, at the end of the day, it's like giving back and providing value and then being rewarded for it in return. Right. It's an opportunity for people to experience your knowledge, your expertise, your passion, your mastery, and build trust, with you. And when people trust you, that's the difference of trying to generate one sale versus getting a client to buy from you not one time, but hundreds of times. And that's the beautiful thing about online education in particular, is that it cultivates that type of repeat buying community. I call 2024 and beyond, this is the era of the celebrity guru. It's not just the celebrity entertainer. It's now the gurus that are becoming celebrities now. They're building 100%. Massive followings, multi-million-dollar businesses in the 8 figures on up, just based on sharing information. And so I call this the era of the guru. And for those who haven't tapped in, y'all are missing out, especially if you have some information that can be monetized. So, so that's where we are right now.
Big. The age of the celebrity guru. We're definitely in the information age right now. You got people in the online education space or info product space, or even like you say, just leveraging the other revenue streams. Once someone purchases an information product or what have you, just going on and create these big, massive businesses, 7-8 figures plus, living on the same levels as these celebrities in terms of entertainers and things of that nature.
Now they're rocking in the same circles. They're hanging out together.
Absolutely.
Now. Yeah.
I see it.
And it's just based on this person sharing their information and building a community around it.
Absolutely.
So, and today's consumers are highly informed. No one just buys just because you say it's good. Right. People are doing their due diligence and research, they're researching, and so they are buying based off of the information you give or not buying from you because you're not giving enough information. So, providing information is the new way in which people are buying these days. Absolutely. So if you're not empowering your audience, then you run the risk of not being successful because people aren't just buying because you say it's great. Right. They want to see what other people are saying. They want to have a really understanding of how your product, how your service is going to provide value or a desired transformation. Absolutely, 100%. And so the more proactive you are in giving them what they want, the quicker the sales cycle.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. So Tori, let's talk about like someone who's maybe looking at this who may say, you know what, I've been thinking about getting into the online education space. Let's talk about like some starting steps for them, like where they should start from, right? They're like, what's the first steps? How do I get something like this going? I've been thinking about creating an online course, getting into the online education space, creating these different revenue streams, even alongside my course. Where should I start at right now in 2024?
Yeah, well, I would say first thing is, I always suggest that you kind of have just like with any business, a business plan or online course or online education business kind of strategy. Before you start creating a whole bunch of stuff and throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks.
Right.
Let's understand what is the purpose of this program. So if, for example, if you are trying to generate leads, let's say you have a service offering and you're trying to generate leads. And you are thinking about creating some type of maybe webinar to educate your client or your audience on the issue that they're having and how you're here to provide a solution. That solution is your offering, right? So if ultimately you're trying to sell that service, you want to kind of create a program that educates your client on how to work with you, how to understand the value that you offer, right? So, and then even from there, you may provide the service, but what else can you provide to them? Does the money stop after that one service offering? Or there's some other upsells or other things you can provide? So what is the big vision potential of what this online education program can provide? And then how do we stack it up? And so I we want to start from having a strategy behind it before we actually start creating it. If you're leveraging it as a sales system. And one of the other key steps in the beginning is to really understand your audience. In order for the education to be meaningful, you need to really know what the challenge is that they're having and how you uniquely are poised to meet those challenges through your offerings, in order to get them from point A to point B. So who is your audience? I would say, what's the low hanging fruit? And a lot of times people say, oh, I can sell it to everybody. And
everybody generalists.
You hear it, everybody can, everybody can, but who is most poised? The minute they hear about this, you don't have to arm wrestle them or have to do the most to get them to buy into what you're offering. And then those people who are most poised, why are they most poised? What are they dealing with? What are they going through? What are the things that keeps them up at night? And then based on that, how do you provide a solution? How do you provide a transformation? How do you provide relief? Because once you can demonstrate that, they're like, how much is it? They just gonna throw, they ready to write a check. They ready to swipe that card. So, you really want to understand the audience that you're dealing with, those pain points, and be very clear on the solution that you provide and build your educational program based on that knowledge. And then from there, how do you stack it up into multiple offers?
Got it. So, the first thing, like you said, business plan, strategy, and also the purpose. The purpose. And then from there as well, like you said, being able to pretty much think about, what's the biggest pains or problems or frustrations, of someone or even a business that I potentially can help or serve, right? And of course, what's the solution behind that? And then getting crystal clear as well, specifically on who that ideal client is, right? Instead of saying I can serve any and everybody, which is typically a generalist approach, specialization, right? Specifically, who am I helping and how am I helping them solve the problem? And then from there, getting into talking about actually creating an actual course and the different revenue streams around that pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha. Makes a whole lot of sense.
And for those that can appeal to multiple audiences, I would say that's great. I said, but let the entry point be very specific. Even if all roads lead to this offer, if doctors are the audience, but at the same time, your offering could also help the businesses of law firms. You're not going to hit them with the same, you're not driving them to the same place. No. Yeah. You want the messaging to speak to the doctors. Right. Exactly. You want messaging that speaks to the attorneys.
Absolutely.
You want message that speaks to the accountants.
Right.
And even if all roads lead to the offering, your introduction is very specific to that audience.
Absolutely.
So even if it does appeal to more than one, the messaging has to be very specific and very concise and very targeted.
Absolutely.
And then we can drive them through the system where they all start to, they may receive, the same offerings, but the introduction has to be very customized.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Well, talk about this, Tori, in terms of once we have all this necessary information that we actually just went through, the actual creation of the actual course. Can you talk about some of the steps that comes with that in terms of, designing the actual course material and, of course, having a place to house this course material, or the different models in terms of even launching a course? Because I know at times, you can have where you launch a course and you may do the trainings live with those customers that come in, and then take those recordings and maybe put them in a membership site or what have you, or you can do pre-recorded content. So it's different ways to go about it. So if you could talk a little bit about what you believe some of the best practices are in terms of that this year.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of different approaches, kind of different strokes for different folks. Obviously, one of the easiest ways just to kind of kick the door down is to take your training, live. Just do a live. I mean, we got all the Zoom platforms that we can have.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So it's just a matter of for those that aren't quite sure, you could always kind of just toss it out to your your email contacts or your social media followings, have them, engage with them to find out what are the challenges that you're dealing with, have them, complete a little assessment or survey to kind of empower you with, what kind of information to present. And then as they share that type of feedback, then, hey, well, actually I'm thinking about doing a course and I'm want to invite you to a free webinar that I'm hosting on, whatever day and time, where I'm actually going to talk about these types of issues that you're having. I'm going to provide, 5 different solutions to help you address this issue. And as if you make it, as they call it, freemium, there's no barrier to entry, so this way there's no reason for people to not take advantage of your offer to get this information. And so, they provide their emails and you do your webinar training with them. And during that time, once you kind of educate them and provide some value to them, and they now see you as someone who really knows what you're talking about and seems to know what you're doing, then they're inclined at that point to be open to what your offer is. And at that time, you can introduce your offer. And then, also interact with them, get their feedback, find out what their questions are, because that may even fuel other content ideas based on that type of feedback. And then, those that take you on that offer, you begin to work with them, but you're going to work with them a little bit more methodically, because now you want to work with them to be able to get some case studies, get some testimonials.
Exactly. Results.
So, and then when you're able to provide that, what we call social proof, right? So when you're able to get that social proof, you can repurpose that to now take those live trainings. Now you can introduce it as a pre-recorded training, right? And then you have all the testimonials and the case studies from people who went through the live training, saying how great it is. Now you could repurpose all that content, offer a pre-recorded training. That pre-recorded training may even be a little bit more robust than the live training, because you were able to listen to some of the feedback you got from the live to provide some additional resources or additional content to the pre-recorded offer, and then say, hey, I have this great program. It's, it offers, module 1, 2, and 3. We have these free bonuses, and these are some of the great things people who have experienced it had to say, and we want to provide this support to you. They can put it on an evergreen site. Zoom has evergreen access to pre-recorded content amongst a multitude of other platforms. And people can pay for it, pay to get access to it. And then this is something that just kind of lives on forever, and then it's just a matter of, doing a lot of the work that you do with adding some marketing muscle to it, drive traffic ongoing 24/7 into this pre-recorded training that is converting, towards your paid program. The paid program might upsell them into your, consultation services or whatever else you have available to offer them that provides value.
Gotcha.
And that can at the basic starter level, that can certainly be what you establish and set up.
Gotcha. Okay. Let me ask your opinion on this, Tori. What is your opinion on these cohort type courses where, people are bringing people in for like a class for a certain amount of weeks?
Yeah.
And then after that, they're having to like relaunch again and then bring another group in, and they're just doing the trainings live. And then once that's over, they're having to relaunch again versus doing evergreen. Like what's your opinion on that?
I think it's fine. I think depending on what you're teaching, sometimes having a live training in a cohort setting may make the most sense. And if it's an intimate group of people, it's not too massive of a group. Gotcha. Where it becomes more of a communal learning experience where they're not just learning from you as the trainer, but they're also learning from the other students who are also going through this learning experience with them. And it becomes more of a collaborative learning experience. I think those are great, if it makes sense based on based on what it is that you're teaching or educating them on. I think those programs are really great when done in collaboration with other entities, so if you're working with a sponsor or a partner or maybe a corporate entity and you're doing these trainings for their constituents or for their employees or their customers, so it just depends on the nuances involved with some of those cohorts, because a lot of times there is a lot of other parties involved in the training. They may be licensing their educational training to these groups. But that is certainly another option. There's a lot of different ways that people can approach this that makes sense for their business.
Gotcha.
The key thing is making sure that you're leveraging each opportunity to move things forward to the next. So as long as there's a strategy again in place on how you leverage everything from your evergreen programs to your cohorts, so even, virtual conferences, we even work with clients on virtual conferences and being able to curate thought leadership from a multitude of people in your circle. It doesn't have to just be you doing all the training and all the education. You can do a virtual conference or a summit and bring in thought leaders from all different facets to empower your audience and then leverage the audience reach that these other entities have access to.
Absolutely.
And then drive them into your system. So there's a lot of different ways people can approach this. The key thing is before you do anything is just to have that strategy already kind of laid out.
Right. Absolutely. Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about pricing models.
Yes.
What's some of your thoughts on that in terms of like the pricing, whether it's the front end in terms of the online course, the even additional upsells, what have you? Like what's some of your thoughts on pricing models?
So pricing, usually with pricing, we tend to kind of assess, what the kind of base price is based on what other people are charging for similar programs. So just to see how, make sure we're somewhat competitive, but at the same time, also pricing based on the value, based on what is the outcome of what people are going to gain from this training. Is this training going to give them some kind of certification that then automatically positions them for another, career or contract out, so it just depends on what the expected outcome is. But then also looking at, what other people are maybe charging for similar types of programs. So there's a tool called Eureka that is a great tool that actually you put in any kind of keyword of a course that you're trying to teach, and it will pull up every online course that's out there on that topic. It tells you how much money they made, how many students they had sign up for it, how many students went through the program.
Big jam,
So that's a tool that we do use. So yes, that's a free nugget for you guys.
Absolutely.
But that's a tool that we use to kind of give us a gauge of what is a reasonable price outside of the value also of what the expected outcome is for your learners.
Okay. Gotcha. Great stuff. Great stuff. And let me ask you this here. You know, I want to stay right now on like pretty much the different models when it comes to the online education space. So let's talk a little bit about the different ways, like, you know, people can go through an online course, because of course you have where a person could go through an online course, like you said, it could go through in a live format, or they could go through where the content is already pre-recorded. It can be more of a self-study model. Mm-hmm. But also you have more hybrids to these days for certain individuals or business owners when they get into a certain place where they may have the course and they may have support in terms of coaching as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think in regards to that, like in terms of someone starting? You believe they should just start primarily, maybe like you say, start off with, just a self-study course, or, live trainings, and then of course taking those trainings, put them in the members area or on some type of site or what have you? Or when do you think is the proper time to maybe add on some support elements, right? Where, like, for instance, them not just going through the course, but also maybe having support, whether that's group coaching calls weekly or having one-on-one support alongside group coaching in the course. I mean, what do you think there? Like, what's some of your thoughts in terms of the different business models when it comes to the online education space with that?
So I think the coaching is a great upsell, especially on a more kind of do-it-yourself kind of training. The do-it-yourself training typically is just kind of just an entry point, right? It's just kind of warming the audience up to really understand the value and the significance of what you're trying to teach. But ultimately, depending on what that is, it may require a little bit more support. It may require a little bit more hand-holding. That's not DIY, Yeah. And so we call that done with you.
Right, exactly.
So but sometimes they're not ready for the done with you until they kind of go at it themselves.
Yeah.
And then when they realize, once they kind of go through the preliminary step, then it's like, okay, in order for me to take this to the next level, this is where I really am going to need some support. But they may not realize that until they go through the self-paced learning. Right. And then at that point, they're more inclined to then, be more open and more poised to take advantage of your done with you training or your coaching training.
Gotcha.
And of course, you want to be very clear as far as what that training entails. You want to be clear as far as what the expected outcome is, because people at the end of the day, they're not signing up just to hear you speak or just to hear you showcase your knowledge and skills. It's all about, how does this help me get from point A to point Z?
Exactly. Solve a big problem.
And you need to be very clear of what the expected outcome is. What is the transformation that you're providing that makes this next level of support through coaching necessary? And once you're able to outline that very clearly, and oftentimes they're more poised to take advantage of that after going through some type of preliminary training. Then at that point you can kind of build out your coaching program as such, and again, that's where you're providing a little bit more hands-on support than what was provided initially. And the coaching could even come off the heels of a webinar series. It doesn't have to be a full-out course that they go through at first, but it has to be something provided to them to get them to understand why they need this extra level of support. And so once they're able to really understand that, then I think they'll be more poised to take advantage of that opportunity.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, Tori, let's talk about, some of the other revenue streams around online education. Yeah, let's dive into some of those.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, at the end of the day, show me the money, right?
Absolutely.
So, I like I said, I think online education is one of those things that position you to get one customer to buy from you 100 different times on repeat, on autopilot. Yeah. And so there are so many ways in which it can provide access to multiple revenue streams. I mean, obviously, first and foremost is through the online content in and of itself. So obviously you can, make lots of money just off the course if it's a course that provides a lot of value. and it has proven results for the people who go through your course. There's certainly a revenue opportunity there. In addition to the course itself, if you have affiliated with different products and services and as an affiliate, and you're recommending those resources to your learners, and you get like a commission based on your learners who actually buy that that app that you're recommending or whatever tool you're recommending. There's money easily, and that's just something that you just kind of throw within the training itself. And so again, once you kind of have people's undivided attention and you explain these resources and tools because they find value in that, then they'll be inclined to go ahead and subscribe to whatever platform. So that's just easy money.
Exactly.
So that's another revenue stream. That's number two. Additionally, if you have upsells, so if you have additional resources, and some of those resources can be as simple as workbooks or checklists, or a toolkit of sorts of supplementary resources to help make the learning that you're providing more practical, and you can charge a fee on that, Then there's the opportunity to charge consultation fees. You may have a self-paced learning program, but your students may need to also do a consult. They may not need a full coaching program, but that doesn't mean that they still don't need some kind of input or feedback. So if that's the case, why not make that available and you charge them for that? So that's another revenue stream. And again, it's and if you follow, it's being stacked. So therefore, people are more inclined to do this as they kind of come through this system. So then there's the consultation, then there's the coaching, right? So if we have a more advanced training that has a little bit more hand-holding, requires a little bit more of your time, then people got to pay for that time, So now you're able to make a revenue stream from that. Then from the coaching program, you have this community of people that are just ecstatic with the results they've got from your training. Now you can open them up to a membership community, where that membership community, they could be paying monthly or annually, but this is recurring passive income that's on autopilot. You're not having to keep selling people into your course. They are paying a premium every so often automatically. So that's just that's money. We call that money while you sleep.
Right. All right. So Tori, let's talk a little bit about now building community when it comes to your customers coming into your online course, even any of these other additional revenue streams. Let's talk a little bit about how you build that sense of community, active learning and things of that nature.
So the community really is kind of the sweet spot on the heels of nurturing learners, is to ultimately nurture them into a community. And, the celebrity gurus that I mentioned earlier, what makes them celebrity gurus is that they have a community built around their guru. That they have a celebrity built around their information brands. And the beautiful thing about nurturing your learners into a community, again, these are the people that are going to be your biggest advocates. These are going to be the people that buy into all of the offers because they're your fans, just like when Beyonce, before the album drops, people are already waiting in line, to click on the buy now button, and because of the type of community that she has built around her brand. And so when you're able to foster that type of dynamic, then that is the ultimate goal. And when you have the community, and it doesn't have to be all about monetizing them constantly, but it is all about providing value to them constantly. And so whether the value comes from, free content sometimes, mixed in with some paid offers sometimes, the community is also encouraging them to engage with one another, or even introducing other thought leaders to them to provide more value beyond what you yourself can provide. So it's a relationship that has been cultivated, and you can take that relationship offline. You can plan offline events or retreats or trips and really take it to another level, and oftentimes this community, they also become your affiliates or your referral partners. So they will refer people to you. They may invite you onto their stages. So there's just no limit to what opportunities can come out of having these communities. And more than anything, they also provide a recurring revenue stream. If you turn that community into a membership program, then they're paying a recurring membership fee as well, whether you have a new educational product to sell them or not. So so that is always that should always be kind of a goal or part of the revenue stream strategy that I mentioned before, is to, why just leave them and buying a course? Why just leave it there? Why not cultivate them into a community? Why not? So that is one of the best opportunities for community. There a lot of platforms today have a community integration. So it's very easy to create those communities. Of course, you could always have nurture your community through social media like Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups. Those are ways that you can also engage and nurture them as well. Leverage them to also, view your content, post comments to help it get through the algorithm. A lot of times the community are going to be the ones that kind of push your content forward to reach other target audiences. So the community is, again, that should always be part of the end goal, is to, take the initial, lead magnet or freemium and then nurture that all the way into a community that then just kind of, just you can monetize on autopilot.
That's big. A lot of jewels that nuggets dropped on building community. Yeah, that's definitely big. And a lot of different ways to build the community as well. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Tori. I think the next thing I wanted to speak on is, because we've talked about, of course, a lot of the foundational aspects in terms of getting into online education and what all is needed, what may not be needed. And of course, we discussed a lot of strategy in reference to creation of online courses and all the different components of online education as a whole and different revenue streams. Of course, we talked about as well building community just now. I think the next thing I like to discuss as well, Tori, is diving a little bit more into sales strategy, because now pretty much, of course, you got your online course created, you got your different maybe upsells in place as well when it comes to your online educational platform that you actually created. You actually have your strategy as well in terms of how you're going to build community and create interactive learning amongst your students, things of that nature. Now, okay, someone is listening to this right now may be like, okay, how do I drive the sales, right? Or what's in terms of my sales strategy? As we could talk a little bit about that now.
Yeah. So, the whole point of having an online education sales system is that the system is engaging, nurturing, and converting automatically. It's set up to do that in a very automated way. So, so you may attract your audience through some type of free offer. But then when you provide them access to your content, the content should introduce them to a paid offer, right? And people may not jump on the paid offer at the time when you initially present it to them, whether you presenting it to them in a webinar or whether you're presenting it to them in a course or in an ebook, whatever educational asset they may or may not. But if you have a system, the system should be set up with automated emails, so you may have a sequence of 5 to 7 emails that's driving people to your sales pages. Okay. And then the sales pages are set up to convert. You may even have a system that has some automated text messaging. Right. So the text message is also driving people to your sales pages, right? So and the system is providing is providing you also with data. So the system should reveal to you who are the people that are interacting with your content, and in some instances, if you or your sales team have access to that data, at that point, you can reach out to these people specifically if they haven't already converted automatically. Then you or your sales team can come in and try to, engage with them, maybe offer them an additional bonus or whatever it takes to kind of push them over the fence, but without having a system like this, it's hard to, make that money while you sleep, which is what the system is designed to do. But then you don't also have the data points to know when to kind of come in and help nurture those sales into a conversion. And so that's the beautiful thing of having this type of system in place. Some of my clients, they're using the systems just to generate leads, based on how, maybe a high ticket type offer that may require an actual human to interact with them. But the system is just generating the leads on autopilot. The client is able to get their sales team to follow up on those leads, and they're already trained to offer any kind of incentives to ultimately convert those leads accordingly. Yeah. And then after they convert them, then they drop them into another email sequence to onboard them, so the sale doesn't even stop at the actual point of conversion. The system is also engaging. It's building rapport. It's helping to foster the relationship that will take that client or customer to the next sales offer. So, and that's being done for you again, automatically on autopilot. So you don't have to handhold the customer through every step of the way, like so many of us, we're doing. The system can take some of the burden off, and again, the trust is already built,
right? So
it doesn't require as much. So the system can easily kind of convert them from one offer to the next once it is set up accordingly. Of course, that's where that strategy comes in place.
Absolutely.
So, but also from a sales strategy standpoint, we empower and help our clients to understand that online education absolutely needs to be your sales strategy, because the way you're able to convert from the trust that you're able to build through an automated system, it's kind of a no-brainer. Right. Everything is very turnkey.
Right, exactly.
So, I have clients that come through my system and clients that come through my client systems of people we have never interacted with, we've never talked on the phone with, we've never done a Zoom call with, we've never seen these people ever in our lives, but we are making money from them.
Right.
And it's all because they're coming through this automated system.
Yep.
So yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, that's a powerful automated sales system there. Definitely. Having people coming through the funnel you never met, a day in your life, but actually becoming customers, like you say, exchanging money for the value in terms of wanting to work with you. That's definitely huge, and it's all through automation. Save you a lot of time,
and people all over the world, not even just people in your local area,
right.
From Zimbabwe to Abu Dhabi, you have this global customer base. And it's all happening through the system. If it had not been for the system, these people would not even have been a part of your orbit. You would not have been able to do business with them if this system had not been established.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah, anywhere where it's a Wi-Fi connection.
Anywhere there's a Wi-Fi.
You could definitely do business now. That's huge. Absolutely. So, pretty much, in this conversation here, like I say, of course, you that's listening to this, you heard a lot about, of course, Tori's journey in the beginning, but also how she got into the online education space, the amazing things she's been able to do, the clients she's been able to serve, but also gave a lot of great gems, education in reference to the foundations and just getting started, period, in the online education space, to, sharing different strategies in reference to how you can just get things going in terms of your online course journey, to the different revenue streams that can be created, to different ways to service your clients, to growing community, to even talking about the automated sales system. And so one thing that I actually wanted to wrap up with is pretty much me and Tori actually have came together to actually work together for those that are actually serious about actually getting into the online education space and being able to take your knowledge, your expertise, skill set, something you're passionate about, put it into a program and actually being able to launch it. And not only that, be able to, like Tori said as well, of course, be able to serve people, help people, add a lot of value to people, but also create a lot of revenue in these different revenue streams. Yeah. We also have another partner as well, Dr. Jasmine as well, that actually works with us. And we recently actually launched a program called Course Creation, Launch, and Grow. And pretty much in the program, Dr. Jasmine, who actually works with us, she helps in terms of course development. And then Tori pretty much helps in terms of that automated sales system that she just actually spoke about. That's primarily what she helps out with. And of course, as well, it's great to have a sales strategy, but you also need traffic, right? In terms of the marketing.
Indeed.
Yeah. And so that's pretty much where I come in, and our other part of Rise to 1%, we come in terms of pretty much helping with driving that traffic, being able to generate leads through the funnel so that you can actually get those conversions over to paying customers that you can actually serve in terms of your online educational program or what have you in your business. And so with that said, pretty much if you're watching this right now, we actually have about 20 spots open right now to actually take on some, people and those that want to actually potentially get into the online education business and need assistance, primarily with what I just talked about, whether it's course development, the automated sales system, to even the marketing pieces as well that need assistance. We have about 20 spots open. We actually opening it up for putting together a custom tailored strategy specifically for you, right, for this year in 2024. So if you actually want one of those spots, and primarily in terms of getting one of those spots, you actually set up a call with us. The call is actually designed to see if you actually be a fit to even work with us, okay? And so it actually be a link. You actually see it flash across the screen, or it'll be down in the description of this episode. It should be at the riseofthe1%.com/course call, the riseofthe1%.com/course call. If you click on that link, you actually can go over and you actually can schedule a call. Like I said, we only have 20 spots. So it's first come, first serve. And so, yeah, you could go over and actually click the link. Outside of that, Tori, is there anything else as well that you may wanted to share in wrapping up?
No, I mean, I can go on and on for days about online education because I'm just so passionate and excited about it. I've seen how it's been able to help turn my clients' businesses around and ultimately allow all of us to work smarter and not so hard, right? So, and that's really key. And I encourage all those that are tuned in to take advantage of this opportunity to, you don't have to go at this alone. We are here to be a resource to you. We're here to help you kind of break through any uncertainty, or some of you may already be course creators, or you've already attempted to put out content, but perhaps it hasn't performed in the way that we Gerald and I have discussed in this podcast. It hasn't performed in the way that it should have performed. This is really great for you as well, because we're able to work with you and really kind of hit the ground running as far as evaluating the content that you have and really plugging it into a system that can be automated and driving targeted leads to that system as well. So whether you have a course or not, this is definitely a great opportunity to tap in. Online education is reported to be $1 trillion industry in 2030. So why not get a piece of your pie, a slice of that pie for your business? Why should everyone else, including your competitors, be tapped in and you not? Why leave money on the table? Right. Especially when you have a lot to offer. People are always, trying to, tap into your brain and ask you lots of questions and to get free information out of you.
that's true.
This is if there was ever a time for people where people were willing to pay for information, it's now. So you don't have to give it away for free any longer.
Right.
Now you can turn all that knowledge into a multi-million-dollar business. And this is what we are here to help you to do. So those 20 people, don't wait, jump on it before you miss that opportunity, because, we work very closely with our clients in building this out, so we can only take a certain amount at once. So if you know that this is something that you believe that can add a lot of value to your business pursuits and really help you take things to the next level, then definitely click on that link, get on a call with us so we can start to help you as soon as possible.
Absolutely. 100%. Definitely. Well, this has definitely been a great conversation, Tori. I definitely appreciate you joining me today on the Rise of 1% podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Conversation. Yes, definitely. A lot of great information shared. Pretty sure those that watch this definitely get a lot out of it. And definitely, as you're watching this as well, if you want to share your biggest takeaways, we definitely love to hear from you in terms of what you actually got out of this episode. What are some things you may be looking to implement this year in 2024 in terms of, let's say, online education, growing your business, what have you. You can comment in the comment section below this if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, you can leave us a review. By the way, we're on Apple or Spotify, the Rise of the 1% podcast. So you can go over there and listen to us on audio if you want to listen to it in the car, or if you work out or whatever the case may be, you just like to listen to audios. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure if you got value, bang the like button, bang the subscribe button. We'll be dropping a lot more great content just like this. And if you're listening to this, like I said, on Apple or Spotify, and you got value, make sure you give us a 5-star rating as well. And feel free to share this around with anyone else you feel can benefit. With that said, definitely once again, like I said, thank you, Tori, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm G Bass. We'll definitely see you all on the next Rise of the 1% podcast episode. Have a great one on purpose.